Hello to the folks just hopping on. We're going to give it just a couple of seconds here to allow a few more folks to join us, and then we'll get started. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. This is Mastering Shop with Evolve. Today's webinar is being presented by Steve King, Product Manager and Prefab Consultant here at Evolve. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and we will forward the recording to all registrants. You can also find all of our webinar recordings on the Evolve YouTube channel. If you have questions, please submit them using the Zoom Q&A function in your toolbar, and we may have some time at the end to take a few questions. All right, and with that, Steve, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Marina. Thanks, everybody, for joining the call. Appreciate it. We're going to just kind of go through our Evolve Shop product as it is today. We'll talk about those workflows, and we'll come back at the end and take a look at some of the future enhancements and features that are coming to the product. So with that, I'll just jump right in and get started. I wanted to first give the group some definitions so that you'll understand, because there could be a little different meaning for some of these, not all of them, but these are some of the terms that we'll talk about here. Most importantly, I refer to a work request as the fabrication order that's being submitted from a project. And the work order is created from a request that is approved by the shop manager. So it's an automatically created work order in our system. And those are the things that are primarily being tracked through our workflow. Items can be spools, assemblies, custom items, write-in items, catalog items. And those items can have tasks associated with them that are required to complete the fabrication. So those terms are kind of up there. I won't go through them all, but I also refer to locations within a facility where we perform work as work cells. So when I say work cells, I'm talking about a very specific defined area in the shop where there's some machinery or tools where certain things are performed within the facility. Primarily in the system, we have three modules. A shop module, which is really primarily used by the shop personnel. So your shop managers, your shop floor operators, maybe some operations executive people could be there as well, looking at shop operations. But generally, all things associated with production in a facility is through that module. The field teams have the field module where they can see work requests and track their work requests as they're submitted to the facilities. They get status updates, and they generally cannot see into the shop's activities unless you invite them to the shop. So they would not see, for example, tasks of a work order in that shop, but they see the higher level work requests that they've submitted for fabrication. The design module is only available to the VDC. Our current VDC customers have access to that module already with your Evolve electrical or Evolve mechanical licenses. Each one of those users can access our design module. Just want to give you a basic workflow that you'll see here in the demo as we go. We're essentially creating work requests from the field or the design department. Either place can do that, and submitting those work requests into the fabrication facility. So whatever the requirements are for the project in terms of fabrication are created on work requests and then submitted into the facility. We do support multiple facilities. If you have more than one, you can submit to the default project facility, or you can submit it to any facility that you have active. As long as that facility has a shop department in it, then you can send a work request to that facility. Basically, when it comes into the shop manager would receive all those requests from all of your projects. They would approve those work requests, add tasks to them to complete those work requests, and then they could also map drawings to those work requests, which follow it through the production process. So We have a drawing register where you can upload spool drawings, whatever they are, PDF drawings, any drawings you need, and then you can attach them to the specific work request that's being manufactured there. Essentially, after you go through your approval workflow, the shop manager approves the work request, which is his acknowledgement of the order and when it's due. And then a system creates a work order for you automatically. Those work orders have their own status assignments. Work orders are in the draft status and must be released by the shop manager when he is ready to send them to the shop floor. So he can still do some things to it. You might be waiting for some materials, some drawings, whatever, some field dimensions from your field teams. Whatever the reason is, he's not released it yet. It's fine. When he's ready to release it and he knows he has everything to go forward, he's ready to start production, just simply release it and it will send it out to the shop floor to all the operators within those work cells. You can also prioritize work orders. They come in by need by date by default. Shop manager can organize those work orders in a higher priority simply by dragging and dropping them on the work order Kanban board, giving them higher status. Might be a hot sheet order or something that's needed right away for some reason, can change priorities kind of on the fly. You'll start and stop and complete tasks within the shop floor. Your operators will do that, and those starts and stops are recorded and tracked. When the final task is complete for a work order, that work order is now complete. And the completed work order completes the work request from the field. So that's the basic high-level workflows that you see here. Coming soon, on the left side, you see Revit, send Revit spools. So Revit spools will, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to take the spool drawings from Revit, the elements, the drawings, and we can connect those to the work request, as I'll show you in a couple of minutes here. Shipping work orders is going to be a completed work order, turns into an outbound work order, and we will run that through a shipping process, a packing, a warehousing, a shipping process to track that order on delivery to the field, all the way to the field. The field teams can receive that at the job site, and it would be considered complete at that point. So this is just a high-level workflow. You guys can, it's an open discussion. You can throw any chats in there. Marina will monitor the chat. If you have any questions like that as I go forward, just go ahead and throw them in there. No problem. So this is really a four-step process for us. By design, we created a rather simple system to use, to train on, and to execute on. Intentionally, we have designed this, and you can be the judge of that, because of we just don't want the pushback from the field personnel. So we've tried to keep it as simple as possible by design. So essentially, there's 4 steps: submit a work request, approve a work request, execute the work, and then complete the work, as you saw in that workflow diagram. So here is giving you just a quick look at the Revit workflow that is coming soon. It is not in our current 7.0 release that we released on December 1st. It provides Revit users the ability to send 1 or more spools from the Revit model to a specific work request directly to it from Revit. You can send the elements, the bill of materials, whatever's attached to that spool directly to the work order work request, and automatically map those drawings to it without the need to manually map them in our system. So that workflow is the top workflow here, where the Revit user would select the spools inside the Revit model. He would select the work request from the available list of work requests for the project. He would see that in his interface, and he would map that spool to the work request directly from Revit, connecting all of the data needed by the fab shop in one kind of easy process inside of Revit. He can submit the work request from the design module. If you want your design teams or your design department to submit those work requests, they can do so. They can submit it directly from that design module, and then it jumps into the shop workflow that we just discussed. So that's one way that you can connect Revit to the workflow if it's done by your design team. The bottom way is Revit, the Revit user, the Revit designer would select the spools. He would send them to the Foresight project, and he would be done at that point. The drawings and the elements and the parts and pieces and quantities are all there. Now you want your field team to map it, or you want your shop manager to map the drawings to the work request. He can do that as well. That's a manual process. From Revit, it's automatic, but the shop manager or anybody else could map those drawings and then submit the work request. But the idea here, most importantly, is to get a direct connection to the Revit model. When that spool or that piece of the work is designed for your project, ready to go, you're ready to fabricate, you can simply just push that data from Revit into the cloud product for non-Revit users to continue that workflow. So that's what we're building out. We're looking for feedback from you guys on that workflow as we go forward. This is Q1 2024 objectives for us. So we'll be talking more about this as we go forward. So that's it for that high-level workflow. I'll jump into the product here. While I'm doing that, Marina, could you send out maybe the first set of poll questions that we have? Great. All right. So while we're taking a look at that, let me spin up here.
Yeah, so if you want to take a minute to look at the screen, we've got the question, how are you currently tracking fabrication orders? Are you still on manual paper whiteboard? Are you using Excel, Smart Sheets, maybe an in-house tool that you've designed, Trello or another similar tracking system? And then you've got your SysQ, M Suites, or other.
Great, thanks for that. We'll let everybody respond there.
Great, and those results are up for you, Steve.
Excellent, appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. So you can see my screen here. Everybody hopefully can see that. I'm in the field module here for a project. So we can access our facilities and our projects here. I've got a bunch of different projects in here. Very simple to access them. You would have access to a project if you were invited to the project. Only users that are invited to those projects have access. Unless you're an admin, you have access to every project and every facility. But one project manager, or one foreman, one superintendent can't see projects of others unless you invite them. So that's how that works. Here I'm an admin, so I see everything. But I wanted to start here from the field module. Here's an example of a project where the design team, following the post kickoff meeting that you may be having to discuss what we're going to fabricate for a project on the operations kickoff, however that's being done. Some companies do it differently, but at the end of the day, the design team knows, or the project team knows, essentially the major items that they're going to fabricate for this particular project. And they have some idea of schedule, but it may not be flushed out completely. Maybe they're using the schedule that was part of the contract documents here, but they've created the work request for the major parts of the fabrication in advance, and the design teams are going to start executing Revit designs or Bluebeam designs, however you do it, against those work requests and attaching the relevant information. When those are complete and ready to go, the field team can then just pick up that draft work request and submit it into the field. So that's an example of some pre-planning that's being done for a particular project. And this one lends well for that, this mid-city condominium project, where it's very clear what we're doing in the units and the floors for this building. So that's one way to do it. And then we see customers using just they're created as needed. So here's an example of just the field team creating a work request and submitting it into the shop. So the field team sees only what they have. Their open work requests obviously are not completed yet. Their closed work request would be completed when the work order is complete and the shipment has been delivered. That would be post 7.0 release for us. Right now, we track it to production complete. So right now, when you see status completed, that means production complete. But until we build out the delivery management side, we're not tracking delivery to the field just yet. So it's very simple. I know I've got some electrical and mechanicals probably on the call. I'm in an electrical company here. And so, but it works the same. Nothing is different here on how you do this. Very simple to create a work request. You have access to your facility here. This one defaults to this. Well, I only have one facility in this company, so that's where it's going to go. Simply select my date, and this can be a webinar example. Something like that. If I could spell, it'd be better. All right, so we'll just save that very quickly. It'll throw you into the work request details, which is where you add your items. Very simply, you can add a custom item. This is a one-off item, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And we need one of those on this work request. Or we can access our catalog. Here, I have an example of a prefab standards catalog that I built for this company. And so you can create your own catalogs for your own company, organize them, and I'll show this a little bit later, how we do this. But here I'm just going to select something that is in our in-wall rough category. I'm just going to select some of these items, doesn't matter. And I'll add those to my work request directly from my prefab standards catalog. And so now I have these items in here. I'll just jump back out real quick to show you the properties. It's in draft status. So when it's created, it's in draft status. You can come over here, the field teams, design teams, you can add anything you want to this via the attachments. It can be a link to a web hosted document, Bluebeam Studio document up on the cloud, whatever, or it can be a static upload of any document that you want to add to this work request. When the field team submits it, it will come in with that and stay with this order. It can be a photograph, whatever you want to upload to it. But at the end, when this is all set, you'll just simply submit this to the shop. It's that easy for a field team to design team to create it. A lot of times this is just a spool, like the item in the work order would be a spool. So here you can see from the field's point of view that this is submitted to the shop team. So I'm just going to switch gears for a second and open up my facility. So I'm the prefab manager and I'm looking at my interface and I can see that this new item has been submitted to me. We're tracking status throughout the entire life of this work request until it's completed. You can see those different statuses here. When they fall behind, they turn red and the days remaining would obviously be in the negative. This one has some issues. And so I'm going to just take a look at that now real quick and see what's going on with that. So I can see that this is in progress. This is a prefabricated panel for a particular project. So I'll just expand this down and see what my process was for this one. And I can immediately see that there's 2 steps of this workflow that have completed, and there's 1 step that has not been done. If I want to take a look at that deeper, I could take a look at that and see what that is. I can open up in my Forge viewer. I can see what it is here that we're making. I can go down into the shop and find out why that is not finished. But you can drill down deep into these to find out information about them. But this is where all the work requests are tracked by the Fab Shop manager on this work request list. And so when they come in, it's very simple. Open them up. You can view what has been ordered. I'll explain. Let me explain this for 1 second. So in this example, I added a couple catalog items, and I have a custom item here. The custom item, we don't know how we need to manufacture that, so there's no bill of process with it. But the catalog items, when I created them, I set up the bill of process, the production steps that are required to create this particular assembly. And so the system now knows how it's going to be made. I don't need to do anything further with this one. This custom item, I have to tell the system what I need to do to make it. So I'm just going to throw a task from my shop tasks. We'll talk about that in a minute here. Just going to drop a task on top of that. And this is the tasks I need to run it through my production facility. Tasks may not be every task that needs to be performed. It just depends on how you set up your tasks. For example, you might cut a pipe, and the task could be cutting pipe, but there's no task called file pipe, because when somebody cuts it, they're going to file it. So I didn't create a task, but you can make them as granular as you want to, but we need to tell the system what we need to do to make custom assembly number one. This is pending now. You'll see a status change as soon as I opened it. The field team has now been notified that the fab shop manager is looking at it, because it changed status to pending. So he knows it's just not sitting there idle. It's being looked at. It can be transferred, it can be rejected, or it can be approved. Rejection simply just sends it back to the field team. The fab manager must enter a comment for the reason of rejection and just reject it. It's that simple. In this example, I'm going to approve it. And it's very simple to approve that. The fab shop manager approves it. Everything is good. It will automatically create that work order. So now here in the work orders, you can see my webinar is now in the draft status right here. New functionality that was released on December 1st is the ability to add attachments at the work order level. So originally we could only add them to work requests, but now the shop manager can add something if he wants to. Could be instructions. It could be whatever he wants to upload to give instructions out to the team on the floor, whatever. See if I can just find something real quick. So I'll just upload a document here. You can delete those and manage them. You can also hover over those dates and you can see who uploaded those documents, so on and so forth. But this is new. You can upload to a work order now. It'll follow through the production process. In this view, we have a list view. We have a Kanban view, which shows all of the work orders in the facility. This is a tool for the shop manager. He's now tracking what work orders are in the facility at that level and what are their statuses. I talked about changing. Whoop. Sorry about that. I just think I logged out for some quick reason. You guys have me back, Marina?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So I talked about changing status. The higher up to the top that the work order is the higher status that it has. If you want to change it, you just simply drag it and drop it above another one, and it will change its priority. It will shift all of the associated tasks for it and put it in the proper order that the fab manager sets. That's one way to hot sheet something. Just drag it from the bottom and bring it all the way up to the top, and that's a hot sheet for that. So you can do that within the Kanban board. We also have a calendar, which I really like a lot. Our customers can view all of the work orders for in the facility. You can control it by year, but mostly I like to see, what it is we have to do this week or today. So I can see I've got some things that are due today. I can drill into those. I can see their statuses. I can get back to the work orders through clicking these hyperlinks. I can get to the original field work request here. You can drill it and dig as deep into this as you need. But for the week, I can see what my schedule is for delivery. And here I can see for Hartford Hospital, I have one work order that's due on the 7th today. And I have another one for a different project all going out today. So this is one way that the shop manager can view what's due. Simply just toggle the weeks to jump to the next week. What's next week? What's the week before? However you want to use this calendar, the data is available to you. Let me take a break for a minute on the work order, and let me just jump quickly back into our shop setup so you could understand that how we send those tasks to the work cells themselves. You can set up your own shop configuration here however you want to. Here I've got a bunch of work cells that are related to this electrical trade, but you can name them and create as many as you want. Here we have just simply map our tasks to those work cells, and then our router picks up those tasks and drops them off into the proper work cells. So this is how the system knows where we perform the work. And so we just very simply just take our tasks from our tasks when we create them, and we just drag and drop them on top of the work cells, and that tells the system what we need to do, where we're going to do it. So this is a very simple setup. This is one-time setup, and in most cases, you set up your shop, set up your tasks. You really don't have to do it anymore unless you want to add more tasks. It's fine. You can start off with a dozen tasks and make it more granular as you go. Here's how you create those tasks. So here you can see some tasks here, but some of these tasks will be multiple, across trades. So our mechanical contractors cut strut, cut rod, cut pipe, weld pipe, do those types of things. And so it's very simple to create them. Just hit the plus new task, create the task, map it to the work cell, you're done. Very simple here to set up our shop. So going back to the work orders, when those work orders are released, to release them, let's just say I've got all the material here, everything's good, I've got my drawings mapped to it, I'm good to go. I just simply release it. That sends it out to the shop floor. Now all of these tasks have been distributed through the facility, and it is available to your team to start production on them. So let's take a look at what that looks like at a high level for your work on the work cells. Here we have a work cell list of all the tasks. This is the list view, which I don't prefer. I prefer to look at the Kanban board myself, but you have both. Here, you'll see all the work, the tasks that are in each work cell in the order in which they need to be performed for your teams in each particular work cell. You'll notice that the red is still red. We're behind on that one. We need to take a look at that, why that's running behind. But here you can see a grayed out task. The reason that's grayed out is because it has a predecessor that has not been completed before we can do this one. So in one of these work cells here, there's a task that must be finished before this one. As soon as that task is finished, this one will be available to begin. So we can set predecessor relationships, start to finish relationships are what we support at the current time. So here you can just take a look at your work cells that you have for a particular shop. And this is generally a view of a fab manager would look at. It can be anybody though. You can access the work order from here, or you can access the specific task here as well. So let's take a look at what the fab shop operators want to look at, the views that they use typically. So we have a work cell queue. So the work cell queue has a drop down, and so when I come into work in the morning, maybe the shop manager has assigned me to work in the duct and skid shop, and so I'm going to go to that work cell. The work that I have to do is in front of me here, and this is the first task that I need to begin. So I'll just simply open that task. My drawings will load that have been mapped to this particular task. And so this isn't a very relevant drawing for this, but you can see the task that's the drawings that are here. This one is the one that I would rather see. But it doesn't matter how many you add to this, they're all available here. The user can view this. This is how we support a digital workflow. If you want to get off paper-based workflows, or you run a combination of digital versus paper, whatever, we can support either one of those workflows, and you can convert to fully digital pretty simply here. To start a task, a work cell operator just simply hits the start button, The task will start running. The badge will turn to in progress. Everything is updated in real time throughout the system. This work order is now in progress as soon as you start one task. You can pause the task. Maybe you got to go to lunch. Maybe you went home for the day, whatever. You start it again. It's just going to make entries in the log. And when you're finished working on this, simply hit the complete button. It'll ask you if you want to confirm it's complete. Yes, it is complete. And then I simply just drop back to my work cell queue, and I pick up the next task that needs to be done. Open up that task, my drawings load, and I'm good to go. Closed tasks will sit in the closed tab, obviously. Those are tasks that have been completed at this particular work cell, and they're all logged in here as they are completed. Open tasks are obviously in the open. So when we start those tasks, it updates the work orders in real time. So we can see here that I can just pick any one of these, that this one is in progress. I can always look at this and drill in like we did before. I can take a look at what's going on. We just started this skid. So now I've got a couple completed tasks. My welding's not done. Whatever, I can dig into this and get my drawings, figure out what I need to go down and take a look at on the shop floor. That is at a high level, the workflow. Oh, let me go back to one important thing in the 7.0 release. Let me go back to the work cells themselves. All right. So some of our mechanical customers have requested the ability to upload directly to the task when it's completed. So we've built that out. You can upload QA, QC checklists. You can upload welding logs. Here you can see the documents that were uploaded from the work request. That came from the field or design team. What was uploaded at the work order potentially came from the shop manager here. You can see who uploaded these documents. If you're in the shop and you need to upload a welding log or a QA checklist, just simply do the same thing as we just did. Select the document and upload it, and it will upload to the task and stay with that completed task for you. You can delete them and you can manage them as you would expect. But when I go back to this work order, I'll now be able to see those tasks in the I think I picked the wrong one, but they'll come into the properties panel here. So we can always see what was uploaded. One important note for that is you cannot delete anything that's been attached to a completed work order. Once it's closed, it's completed, and we don't allow the deletion of the documents that were used to create or build or test that work order. They can't be deleted at that point. We may build out some permissions to do that if you make a mistake, but for now, they're locked in and they cannot be deleted because they're documents of record that our customers are using for that particular work order. I want to jump very quickly over to some new functionality that we have that we just released. For our project bill of materials. So we have a bill of materials for each project where you can add items that you need. It could be fabrication items, but it could be any items that the project managers need or the foreman needs, whatever. But what I wanted to show you here is how we handle decisions for items. I want to show you a few examples of that. I'll show you how we do it, and then we can discuss a little maybe in Q&A. So we have a catalog, and in this example here, I've got some EMT bends. It could be anything. So I know we got mechanical guys on here, but you create something that you're going to build, right? And so here I have an EMT bend. It's a 90-degree elbow. I need 5 of these things for this particular area in the project, whatever. I can add them to my bill of materials And the decision modal is going to pop up here, and it's going to ask me to make a decision. So in this, the stub length here equals X. I set this up because I want the field team or the design team to determine what X is. So this is 26 inches on the stub length of that 90. The tail length, I have X. I don't really care what the length is in this example. I'm just going to get the rest of the 10-foot stick of pipe is what I want. But I could also specify the tail length. I can select my size for this particular bend. I need some 3-inch. And those are the questions and the decisions that I need from the field in order to fabricate this particular bend. So when they answer all the questions for it, it will update and append itself to this item. Essentially, I can fabricate directly from those decisions. There's nothing really more that I need from the field team to make that bend. And so I can set this up. I can ask them the questions that they need to provide answers for. And when they do, I have all the information I need to fabricate this particular part. And you can easily come in here. You'll see one's gray here and one's orange. It's gray when all the decisions have been made, and it's orange when they're not. And those unmade decisions are indicated by the X comma, which indicate that there's 4 decisions for this particular part that should be made. It's not required. You can actually send something without a decision being made. It can be made at any time in which you're ready to make that decision. You can very simply change them through accessing this modal, and you can change those decisions that you make. So we'll just throw out one more example, something that's more common, maybe for both trades. Let me get a strut cut. But here I want 10 pieces of strut for this particular build. So I'm going to say, okay, what strut finish do I want? This is going to be pre-gravelinized. I want 1 5/8 strut. I want it to be, I've got some standard strut lengths that I offer that I want to give them choices on. But again, I'll just use the X. I'm going to solve for X. This one needs to be 32.5 inches long. And I'll just hit the add button. I want that to be a custom length, no problem. The strut type, I want this to be elongated hole. And I'm going to hit the done button. Essentially, I can fabricate that from those questions and answers that I just received on that particular part. You can use, you can make these decisions in different locations for the project. You can access that by just simply clicking on here. Here I can see that these items are unassigned, meaning they're just assigned to the project itself. They're not assigned to a particular location. I can access those project locations that I've set up here. I've got 4 floors in this particular project. Underneath those floors, I've got some areas, and I can just say, okay, I want 10 here. I want 5 here. No problem. And I need 10 on floor 2 as well, or 100, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I'll just save that, and it will update my quantity. So it's very simple to distribute these items throughout the projects in the locations that you have set up for that particular project. So here, if I come back to them, you can see now that I've got those quantities in those locations. I can then filter for those locations, pick up that location breakdown structure and say, okay, show me what I have on floor 2. No problem. So that's a quick demo on the decisions. And so obviously some of those use cases are direct field ordering from the field for prefabrication standards that are unplanned. They can access those catalogs. They can order these fabrication items, answer the questions that you gave them, and you can fabricate from there. We'll build out this a little more as we go forward. This is the functionality in 7.0. We will ultimately be able to give you the bill of materials based on the selection that was made. So oftentimes you give them a choice. Maybe it's schedule 40 conduit or PVC conduit. Obviously that changes the bill of materials, and so the decision will toggle the bill of materials. We're not there yet, but I'm just giving you some look at down the road. of what possibilities we have with this very powerful tool. Let me show you very quickly, and then I'm going to hop out of this, just how we do this. You can set up your own categories here. You have your own prefab. You can create your own catalog. You have access to ours too, but you can create your own. This is how you do that here. Here I've created these categories and subcategories, and we can talk about that on another call. But here I have these conduit bends. So for the EMT bends, I create attributes. Attributes are the question that I want to ask. For example, what is the EMT size? And the choices are the variants. So here, EMT size, I have my choices, which are variants. That's how the system works, and it knows it gives them, what is the question essentially, and what choices do they have. You'll notice that I was able to write in a value. When you create an attribute, you can allow write-in values. If you check this box, the user can write in any value that they want. That's how I was able to order a custom length on that strut. Just simply allow write-in items, and I set up X, is what I use, but it could be a question mark or however you want to indicate to your field that they need to provide you some value there. That's how that's done. So that's how attributes and variants are used for decisions. We will add fields here for parameter values that are not used for decisions. But currently we don't have that. All attributes and variants are used for making decisions on parts. And so here I've got my attributes and variants set up, and then I manage my items. I simply have added 3 items here to the EMT bend category. And here are my parts that I set up. And so when I go into that part, I simply scroll down and I can set what I want to be a choice. So for example, if this doesn't come in 4-inch, I don't have to allow it in 4-inch. Maybe the company doesn't use 3.5-inch conduit, so they don't want the choice to be 3.5. You can control the choices that you give the field through selection of these attribute variants here. That's how this works. So you can set up a bunch of attributes, and you can see here I have no values here because they don't apply to this particular part. But they do apply to the EMT bend category itself. That's why they're here. But you don't have to give a value, and if you don't, it won't be a decision that needs to be made. So we would get into a little training on that, but it's not too difficult to set up, to get going kind of out of the box. So with that, I want to jump over. Why don't we run that, Marina? Why don't we run that poll question number 2 and take some questions if anything comes up. I see something in the chat here. Let's run that poll question. Let me take a look at the chat here. Actually, I don't see anything there, so good.
Yeah, that question is up. It says, of the options listed below, which would you most like to improve or solve in your shop? We've got collaboration and visibility, tracking of deliverables to the field, ordering prefab from the field, shop efficiency, paperless digital workflow, or bills of materials issues, or delivery scheduling and tracking.
Great. Thank you for that. Let's see. So we're tracking fairly well on time, Marina. I want to save 10 minutes for Q&A here, if we can. So let me see. We'll get this going once your poll is finished.
Great, yeah, and I did see a question come in asking about, is this accessible through mobile?
Yeah, so you can run this system very effectively on an iPad right now. That is how our shops really achieve a digital workflow on the shop floor. Is an iPad, a relatively inexpensive iPad works fine, and they use large screen monitors in the work cells to do this. We do have a mobile cell phone app that has some limited features right now. You can get into the shop. You can start and stop a task from a cell phone. There's some limited functionality around that. We're going to build that out more as we go forward, but it is on the App Store. It can be downloaded. So we are supporting mobile. And when I say that, it's mostly, iPads. You get full functionality off an iPad,
Mhm.
and then some limited functionality on the cell phone, but we'll continue to build that out. And it would really, a lot of that is driven by our customer base too. If they are looking for cell phone features, then we'll be taking a look at that.
Great. And we've got some results here from our poll with the top answers being people would like to improve collaboration and visibility and
Mhm.
also get on a paperless digital workflow. Some other
Yeah,
popular responses here tracking, ordering from the field, and shop efficiency.
yeah. So let me take a couple of those just for a second. Collaboration and visibility. Um, Everything in our system is updated in real time. It really gets you out of how do you order prefab? Well, foreman number one, he sends a text message to the shop guy. Foreman number two, he sends emails or he calls the fab shop. There's many ways that orders get into the facility, but we streamline that through the ability to just submit the work request. That way, we don't lose tracking of things, we don't forget things, and we have kind of some control of the chaos that can occur in the shop. And so everything is updated in real time, but we also are sending emails and notifications through our system when statuses are changed for the work orders. So the field teams are being constantly updated. We're hearing from our customers, the field foremen and superintendents spending, some amount of time tracking things down from the shop. The fab manager gets bombarded with phone calls because he's managing every project that's being done. So he gets many more phone calls. And so we try to, we won't eliminate that obvious need to make a phone call, but we are streamlining it to keep people informed. That is a major effort from us to do that. We'll continue to make that better. Shop efficiency, I think, can be gained by understanding what needs to be done and where. The ability, if you're tracking on an Excel or smart sheet or something like that, some of you may or may not have task level tracking. That task level tracking allows us to take a deeper look into what has not been finished and what is finished for a particular work order. So those are just a couple things that I would mention off of those two top questions. So with that, I just want to jump into this last couple slides to share with you all the delivery management. So I want to talk a little bit about that. That is also a Q1 2024 objective for us. And it really completes the fabrication workflow. As I said, our current product tracks through production complete. We want to pick that up and track it through to delivery complete so we can get a handle on missed and late deliveries, missing items, those type of things, create the visibility that's needed so that the field foreman knows when it's going to arrive, when it's scheduled to ship, and there's been collaboration between the manufacturing facility and the project itself. Some of our customers, the shop manager is responsible for delivery, and some of our customers, they have warehouse personnel that are directly responsible for that. But either one of those would be supported within the system. So at the end of the day, we're going to track it to delivery. This is what our current workflow looks like. So we have a work order, it's in progress, it gets completed, and we're going to hand that completed work order off to our delivery management system as an outbound work order. And so it retains all of its documentation. You could have uploaded installation drawings to a work order or work request. It'll maintain all of those attached documents, but it'll also pick up new properties and the ability to add new additional information to that outbound work order. So it's automatically created when the work order is changed to complete status, essentially a copy of the work order with new properties and statuses in our system. So we think of delivery management. This is our MVP, guys. It is not fully fully built out, feature rich. It does the basic things that we need to do. That will be the MVP. So 3 stages of that, really: warehouse processing, delivery planning, and delivery fulfillment of that outbound work order. So things like packing, confirming packing, how many pallets, skid, boxes, those type of things. Where is it in the warehouse? Where did we store it? Where can I find this pallet that I have to deliver? Printing of labels with QR codes, scan codes on them is part of this. Updating status. In the delivery planning, obviously setting delivery dates, confirming what type of delivery it is. Is it a pickup? Is it a delivery to the job site? Is it unscheduled? It's going to be a will call pickup. We don't know when we need it. Store it for 2 months. Giving delivery instructions and updating status. This potentially could be done by 2 different people in the facility. So maybe the fab people are packing it, and then maybe they're just bringing it over to the shipping warehouse, and from there they pick it up and deliver it. Those workflows would be supported. Updating ship dates, picking and scanning, and updating statuses are all part of that fulfillment. The receiving piece of this follows the MVP release of delivery management. It is scan QR codes on the packages. To receive those things, you can directly receive items at the item level. You can upload photographs, documents for the receiving that are relevant. You can also define issues and problems from the field teams with that. Maybe you're missing a box or something, whatever. That'll all be part of the receiving process. So there'll be a couple different QR codes on there. If our system knew where it was located, you'd be able to scan that QR code and say, this pallet belongs on floor 1, area A, room number 5, whatever. We know a lot about that package that's being delivered. So I just wanted to share some screenshots here of what this would look like. Here's our outbound work orders that are now in the hands of the delivery teams. These are all the open work orders and all their statuses. The need by date, which was requested by the field team originally, and the ship date that has been scheduled for that particular delivery. The delivery type is defined here. Is it going to be a pickup? Is it going to be delivered to the field? Whatever. All this is tracked and monitored in real time. Here's our closed work orders. They pick up the delivered status that is now complete, and it tracks the time, whether we were early, whether we were late. Those type of things are all being tracked. We're capturing a lot of data in the background here. This is a managed delivery screenshot of how you would do that. So you can define the boxes, bags, bundles, cartons, coils, skids, pallets, whatever. You can set the delivery status, the type, schedule the ship date, all that stuff from one single view here. You can also, if you store it, you can also store it and define what aisle, what row, where is it in the facility. So when I go to get it, I know right where to find it. That can be defined. It's not required, but it can be added so that we know where to find these boxes and pallets that are going on the outbound order. Scheduling a ship date is easy. I just pick that date and set it. You can change it as needed. They call you up and say they need it 2 days sooner, whatever. What I'd like to build out here, which is not shown here, is a delivery range so that a field guy could say, hey, I don't care about what day, but it's got to be the week of the 10th. So that'll give flexibility to the delivery team to move that date and get those routes figured out, as long as they know there's some flexibility on the field team in which that order can be delivered. So I would pick up some kind of a delivery date range for that. Here's just a quick look at the scan, the label that would be printed out of our system with the scan codes, and you would have one label for every box or pallet that was generated for that particular order. So I'm going to leave it there and throw it open. We've got a few minutes left, 5 minutes here, Marina. I'll throw it open to any questions from the audience at this point.
Great. I've got a question for you. How can interested parties get started with implementing Evolve Shop?
Easily. You can jump to our website. You can hop over to the shop product and request a demo. That's one way to do it, or you can contact me directly. Any of our salespeople, I know some of you guys are customers now. You can contact your sales rep if you need to. I'll throw my email in the chat. Anybody can contact me directly as well.
Great. I'm also going to go ahead and share the page where you can go to request a demo.
Excellent. So while we're doing that, any other questions from anybody? Any thoughts, ideas, anything at all? I'll give you a couple seconds here. And okay, Marina, you threw that. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So it's in the chat if you guys want to take a look at that, and I'm always willing to get on a call with anybody, talk about your specific needs and workflows, challenges, whatever you have in your shop. But I guess no questions here, Marina. We'll wrap it up, and I'll just close by thanking you all for joining. It's really great to be able to show you guys the products that we're building and hear from you as well on solving these industry problems. I came from the construction industry on the electrical side for 15 or 20 years. I was out there in the fields and managing projects, and so I feel the pain of these workflows sometimes. And so my desire is really to build products that can help create efficiencies in the shop and labor savings in the field. So I appreciate everybody's time, and I'll pass back to you, Marina.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. Yep, we like to say here at Evolve, we're built by contractors for contractors. So thanks for taking some time to impart some of your wisdom on us today. And thank you to everyone who's attended. We will be following up with the recording, and you can always find more of our upcoming events and webinars at evolvemep.com. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.